Happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Juneteenth weekend 2024 to each and every one of you. And happy Father's Day weekend to all of the fathers out there. I know there are some people that are posting and saying, maybe to this father, maybe to that father. I'm going to go into that into a minute as to what we think of all these different fathers. But I would want to say happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. I will explain why in just a minute. Summertime 2024, we're back. I'm your host, Dee Shields. Thank you for listening to What Dee Says, the podcast. And I want to make sure that you begin to follow on YouTube because this summer we're coming to YouTube as well. What Dee Says, the podcast. You can follow me all across social media, including YouTube. I am Dee Shields. I am DeeShields, and I will put that over on X, the link, so that you can know how to connect to What Dee Says, the podcast as well through that handle. Thank you so much for all who are tuned in. Listen up. Father's Day. I really hate that it becomes this topic that everyone wants to let out all of these emotions that they failed to let out in therapy the 12 months prior. Everything that you didn't get out of your system through a trendy post, you decide to lay it all out again. And so that makes people, when they come and see my post, which is what I said today, when they come and see my post on today's topic, then they think, oh, you're just not talking about the good dads. I am saying thank you to every father out there. Ones you call good and ones you call bad. We're going to go into some detail as to why. I said a topic today, 2 things for Father's Day. This is 2 hot topics that I'm going to cover. Ladies, sometimes God beat him out of your life for the betterment of your child. That deadbeat you constantly talk about. And men, no woman has to stay loyal to struggle environments that you offer as a father to her and her child. And we're going to go deeper into that in just a moment. But first, let's unpack why I say happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Yes, women bring life, right? We carry through with pregnancies. 9 months, we carry this child. We bring this child to life, all with the creation of what it was created to be. The father still plays a role, whether he shows up and leaves or whether he's there and then he, takes off midway through the raising of the child, or if he didn't show up at all, or if you became a parent by way of an assault of any type. The father had a purpose, and you got to see that purpose within your child. So I don't go down I'm going to tell you my own story again. For those of you who failed to unpack it in my books, I'm going to tell you again. So you don't have to go down the road of bashing that man, because what you have in front of you is a child listening to every word and questioning their self-worth over what your thoughts are on fathers, and the one that walked away or didn't do enough or isn't doing enough or has you in the struggle, whatever it is that you're saying, and you're putting it on the father, and that child feels that the father is a part of them, right? In the cases of assault and rape, I still want to encourage you to know that finding the purpose with you and that human being that you are raising, if we could focus on that and take yourself to therapy and make sure that you're constantly dealing with how this came about, any kind of way that you could do to not taint that child's head that they are a mistake. Because once you put out there that they are a mistake, they go out into society thinking they're a mistake, being a mistake, and creating mistakes that sometimes are damaging in more ways than one. Okay? So for those fathers that showed up and they didn't do enough, showed up and they left, and showed up and, there till 5 years old and took off and cheated with your sister, cheated with your auntie, cheated with the neighbor, left you, or you were in a 3-way situation where you were the mistress and he promised he'd leave his wife and he never did, and you're 6 kids down the line. For all of those fathers out there, we still are going to say thank you because we appreciate the child. I believe that children are the future. I'm never going to take that away. Children are the future. They are what's coming next. So I'm never ungrateful for a child. I'm ungrateful, or I'm unhappy sometimes with environments that impact children, that create beings that could be better if you would clean up the environment. So sometimes I'll get extremely unhappy with the environment that a child is in, but I'm not going to be unhappy with the child, even those that are the most challenging. With the right environment and the right upbringing, better can come from whatever behavior that they're putting out there. So if you reach out and you get help, if you can't do it on your own, and you go grab some mentors in the community, and don't say there are not any, because there are, and they're always a social media post or a phone number or a community outreach program away. If they're not in your family or nowhere in your neighborhood, there's somewhere where someone's going to reach out and help you make a better life for that child. So don't ever let people tell you that there's no other hope and that's just a bad child. There's more. And take a look at your environment to see how much your environment is impacting the behavior of the child that you're struggling with raising, right? But here's about this deadbeat hot topic that you always get on around this time of year. I sometimes don't think that people don't think about how, is he a deadbeat, or did God beat him out of your life because that wasn't what's good for that child who had a future? I'm not saying that. I don't want to even go down the road of the good or the bad, good versus bad, with my children, because I just love that they're my children and they're mine, and they were a part of who I am, and they were exposed to who I am, and we had challenges, but they were exposed to the positive and everything that stayed with them, and they became these great adult human beings that they are today. So there's just no mistakes with what happened, with how my children came about, right? But because of the type of father, like my daughter's dad, right? So her biological used to beat you read the book, didn't you? If not, you need to DM me. I'll make sure you get the link to get it. He used to beat me. I left when she was still in the baby crib. She was still in the baby crib. I left him when she was young and remembered like spurts of, sometimes you would drop me off over there and this and that happened, but it didn't impact her in a negative way by staying right in the home with someone boxing my eyes. She already had an older sister. Her biological had stepped out and he gave us some baby wipes and a squeaky toy. And that's the last we heard of him until it was time to go to court. And he stood up and made a big old scene in the Austin, Texas child support court. Like, that's not my child. That's a hoe. He called me a hoe in front of the whole court. And then the judge stood up and told him, sit down. The test came back 99%. Sit down, be quiet. I had to be a whole hoe before that could happen. But it didn't matter because he didn't make or break what my children would become, right? So she'd seen that, and so then her sister comes along, you don't know how much is impacted, but they're still young. And I'm like, you know what? I'm out. I'm not doing this. This is not what I want for my life. This is not what I want for my daughters. I didn't even have my son yet. This is not what I want for my daughters. I know that there's better for me out there. So I went to see a counselor. The counselor agreed with me. Once they hit you, it's not going to stop. So you got to find a way out. And so I went to the support group and went to my father, who didn't know it was happening, who snatched me out of the home immediately when he found out it was happening. And it was just a sham, sham of a marriage. Didn't last longer than you could blink your eye, right? And it was what was best. And as much as he thinks he controlled that moment in my life, he didn't. God beat him out of my life because the type of individual that he was, and that I could see into the future that he would become, he became exactly that. And all of that became someone else's toxic problem. And all of that probably impacted her children and the children she had in her home, but it didn't impact mine. And it was toxic. It was full of fights and drugs and guns and violence and all kind of stuff, in and out of jail. Everything that God said, I'm going to beat him out of your life because that's not for the child that you're raising. Do you get where I'm coming from? So sometimes the person that you are calling a deadbeat and you're so mad that they walked out, Maybe they heard the calling from God, get the hell out of that woman's life. You're not it. You're not a good fit. Everything that you are doing is going to bring nothing but hell to her life. You know you're trash. You know your behavior is trash. You know you need help. You're not getting help. Get out of her life so that she could do better by this child. Right? God beat the sense into him to get out of your life. That's the deadbeat that he is. Deadbeat his A right on out your life so that a better life is ahead for your child. I can make a lot of decisions when I'm raising children, but having a ignorant A person as my person around my children, I do not do. I do not do. This is just something that I'm not going to allow. And, I see so many of you, I'll go into a whole nother world if I start talking about y'all moving them in and y'all have young children and y'all letting these dudes come in because you need your bills paid. All of that toxic, in and out, do, this, in, out. That's toxic environments for your children. You can't talk to me about how'd you get them graduate high school? How'd you get them to graduate college? How'd you get them to be the adults that they are? How did they become? You can't ask me all these questions, but you're not going to change what you're allowing your children to see. When you're raising children, they need to be in the best environment that you can get them in. And you need to be, maybe you may not have the resources, but God knows the plan. I didn't have the resources, but I had the heart for my children to have better. And so when I got out of the toxic environment into a better one, everything just started going in the direction that God said it would be. And they were able to be in a better environment because I was just like, this is not for me. So you can look up. You have common sense. You laid low, spread it wide with this dude. Now you know this ain't it. And if this is not it, start making it a point in your journal or writing down your goals to start making a plan to get up out of there. You want your child to become what you're sitting across, listening to this, looking across the room at? If that's not good, if it's a good image and it's something great, then yes. But if it's something negative and abusive and drugs and alcohol and weed and beer and parties and games and playing in your face and women and side chick this and side chick that, that's not for your son to see, is it? You know that's not for your child. So sometimes God beat him out of your life for the betterment of your child. It's important that y'all really take a listen to what I'm saying on that. And then, men, I need you to understand this. That was my part 2. And I know that did not sit well and it came across like a negative as well. But no woman has to stay loyal to a struggle environment that you're offering her to help her raise her children. Whether you're the actual biological father or you're just a dude that walked in. If what you're walking, I hate that you walked in and struggled. Like you've seen her in the struggle, you've seen her in housing, you've seen her in a low income status, and then you walked in and you have nothing to offer to get her out of that. And now it's just double struggle. No woman has to stay loyal to that. Beat yourself up out that situation. Go. Why do you think that's for her? She does not have to sit and stay with your struggle, especially around children. A lot of times you'll see you may see us in that situation that's not around children. I still don't want to see a woman in struggle. I could tell you, I could show you better than I could tell you. By sharing with you the parts of my life that I've experienced, if you will listen to me and just say, you know what? I trust that Dee is sharing what she's been through because she is saying you don't want any parts of that. So here's the decisions and the things that she's saying that this is the way to do this so that you can get away from that because you deserve better. No one has to be loyal to struggle. The Bible did not say submit to your broke A. Y'all are so confused, especially when it comes to Christianity. The Bible did not say, if you must go by the Bible did not say that she had to submit to you and your behavior your demeanor is disgusting and disrespectful. And that you're not bringing anything to the table. You're just taking away and destroying and using and abusing, manipulating, bringing nothing but chaos and hell. No one has to be loyal to that. That is all a part of the struggle. You've been bamboozled and lied to if you think a woman owes you anything on that. For the fathers who are doing amazing in women's lives, thank you for being there for your children. Thank you for being a part of their upbringing, whatever way that you are able to. For the fathers that reach out to me constantly, year after year, telling it's another year is going by and I still can't see my child. My heart breaks for you because I see you going above and beyond, and all you want is to be able to just be by your child and just to see your child and spend some time. And that woman is so angry and so hurt about the breakup that they're using the child to not allow you to be a part. My heart hurts for you. And I just want you to continue to say it to the atmosphere. This will change. Because I promise you, when that child is old enough, they're going to see the guilty party and they're going to come to you and build a relationship, and it will be better. If it's not now, in the future, it shall be. Things will be better. So don't bring any toxic into this. Don't argue back and forth with a person that they're not going to budge on the way that they're acting and treating and talking to you, right? I'm in a relationship where that happened, where the woman, all she did every time, got on the phone and right there in front of her child just would go on in on to say some horrible stuff about this man, right? And didn't make it where that child could see anything other than that. So then the child began to speak that way from, early teens on. Speak the same way because that's all that was being dished out every phone call, right? Of course, there's hurt in the past, but people change. So if you're that woman and you're holding on to what? They broke your heart because they cheated. That is not a reason to not let that man, that if they're willing to provide and do, that's not a reason to not let them be a part of their child's life. Don't do that. Don't be that person. You have this weekend to be the better person. And for the first time since I don't know how many years, you can let that child supervise with your visit if that's the only way you feel comfortable. See, they're biological if it's safe to do so. If it's not safe to do so, we're not talking about your situation. That's a totally different thing. You need to go to the sheriff department and let them walk inside of there to see your child. It may not be where you can have your child around that individual because they're toxic and they're not safe. That was my situation. No, you will not come around my child. Every time I try, you shoot up the car. Or then I try again and you put your hands on me, you start choking me. Every time I tried when they were younger, you know why you were not allowed to be a part of their lives. Because you brought toxic and put me in danger, put their lives in danger. If I have a car seat in the car and you shoot up the car that I'm in, you don't care. Right? That's what I said. Sometimes people have so many different parts of the story, right? So happy Father's Day weekend. Happy Juneteenth. That's a whole different show. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in on a consistent basis for it's been 10 years now? Oh, we're past 10 years. Yeah, we're at 14 years of podcasting. Still hanging on the Spreaker. Spreaker was where I came after I left Blog Talk Radio, and I like this environment because it hosts to just dozens of other platforms, so shout out to iHeart and Apple and Google and all the different platforms that open the door to be able to connect and do this on. I'm your host, Dee Shields. Find me on socials. I am Dee Shields. We can continue the topic if you choose to. Just DM me, or you can go underneath one of the links to do so. I am DeeShields. Thank you for tuning in.